Hi, I'm Dr. Ros Jones. I'm a retired paediatrician and from the UK and a member of the HART Group. In Britain, we've had no tradition of compulsory childhood vaccines, unlike Hungary. And I think that put our citizens in a stronger position than in many countries to push back on general mandates. But having said that, combination of the fear propaganda, the psychological pressure to get vaccinated to protect the vulnerable, and tied into travel bans for most countries in Europe for the unvaccinated, meant that in practice, most adults in the UK did take these. Censorship was widespread, and I think even today, many people, including many doctors and politicians, seem unaware that these mRNA-based, gene-based vaccines are a totally new technology, the risks of which we're hearing about and are becoming more and more apparent. As a paediatrician, I was particularly concerned when I saw healthy children being recruited into the trials right back in autumn 2020, when there was yet no medium-term, let alone long-term safety data for adults. And it was obvious that for children, the risk of death from COVID was effectively zero. We wrote to UK regulators to try and dissuade them from authorising these products for children, but to no avail. Interestingly, when the vaccines were rolled out, for example, to primary school kids in the UK, the NHS adverts confirmed that they didn't need them. They showed a picture of a little girl sitting on the lap of a white-haired lady, and the parents were being exhorted to get their children vaccinated to protect the grandparents. This is not only unethical, but it's actually against international law, which makes very clear that for children, they can only be treated for their own personal health benefit. Parents, luckily, ignored the government advice very wisely, and less than 10% of primary school kids in the UK actually have any of these. But what about now? Well, adults, the boosters are being reduced steadily, and I think most adults just want to forget the whole thing. But meanwhile, companies like Moderna, for example, are getting huge government grants both in the UK, Australia certainly, and I think Canada. We've got a big facility set up near Oxford now, which is aiming to produce mRNA vaccines, all new vaccines, and as others have mentioned, probably replacing the traditional vaccines that are currently in the children's schedule, most of which are now long since off patent. So this is not about just COVID vaccines. The mRNA platform itself is inherently unsafe. Whatever protein the mRNA codes for, there is no off switch. So in effect, that protein will go on being produced for we don't know how long, in what parts of the body, and in what quantity. So a complete moratorium for this technology, I think, is the only answer. It's urgently needed, and a full and transparent investigation into how on earth it was ever recommended for this new technology to be spread to the entire population of the world. So thank you for supporting our endeavour.